Welcome to the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Pluff. Each week, we will cover various topics that dads struggle with in their fitness journey. I'll give you actionable steps that you can apply right away, not only to take back control of your own health, but so you're able to be a better example for your kids too. So if you've been working out for a while now, you know the value of rest and recovery. And if you're not resting, if you're not recovering properly, then you know your performance in the gym is going to suffer. Well, unfortunately, I think that now I am a big proponent of rest. I believe that everybody should strive for 8 hours of sleep a night, making sure you're giving your body a chance to recover from your gym sessions. But as dads, chances are we're not getting 8 hours every single night. I know I'm not if I'm up with my daughter or my son in the night. Very few nights, if ever. I can't remember the last time I slept through the night without waking up. And so I know for me that is a struggle for me. And people can turn to different supplements and massage guns and foam rollers and things like that for the recovery, which I think play an important role. I have these things too, but I think we take the rest days, and I think we take we put too much of a precedence on it, and too much of we don't work out enough, if that makes sense. To say it bluntly, most of us aren't working out enough to um, worry too much about how lack of rest is going to affect your performance. And that can be hard to hear because I know that when you're in the gym, I know when you're working out, you're giving it your all. But chances are the reason you're not seeing success, the reason you're not seeing the results that you want is because you're not putting in enough work. Um, if you've been working out consistently for 3-4 times a week for the past 3 or 4 months, chances are you've seen a lot of great results. But if you haven't seen the results that you wanted to, if you haven't lost the weight you wanted to, chances are you're not as consistent as you wanted to. Now, today's episode is titled "You Can't Handle the Truth." It's the 1992 film, Jack Nicholson and A Few Good Men, and I think that's something. I think that's something that can be hard to hear sometimes. Is that sometimes we don't put the work in that we think we are. I like to do something with my weeks with time journaling. You think you're working 5, 6, 7 hours a day strictly on your side project, but when you actually map it out, when you actually figure out how much you're actually putting in to being an entrepreneur, to your side business, you're really not putting that much work in. Most of us like to think we're working more. It's like a badge of honor. I put in a 60-hour work week, slept 4 hours last night. It sounds really cool. It's like bragging rights, right? But chances are we're not as efficient and we're not working as hard as we think we are. And prioritizing sleep, prioritizing strength training, prioritizing making sure we're getting enough steps in, prioritizing heart health. All these things are very important. And sometimes the things that are the most important are the things that we kind of push to the side. And we think that we're putting in the work and this program just didn't work for me. But chances are, when we're honest with ourselves, when we actually track how we're spending our time, we haven't put as much work in as we really thought we had. And same thing goes with your business. Same thing goes with even your marriage. You think you're spending time with your wife and you wonder why you keep having arguments and things like that. But when you sit down and think about it, when actually use a time journal to figure out where you're spending your time, the time journal never lies, as I like to say. And I think when you finally do sit down with yourself, you're honest with yourself, and you're not able to see those results in the gym. You're not able to lose those last 15, 20 pounds that you want to. It's time to kind of look in the mirror and be honest with yourself about, are you really being as consistent as you think you are? And if you are, awesome. Then it's time to reevaluate. Maybe that's where a coach comes in and kind of helps figure out what's been going wrong. But I think for most of us, when we do finally sit down and we do hear those hard truths, we'll start to realize that our priorities, our focus may have been on the wrong things. And if we're just consistent just for a little while, we'll start to move in the right direction. That concludes this episode of the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. Thank you for those of you who took time out of your busy schedules to listen. If you have any questions or comments or an idea for a topic for a future episode, please feel free to reach out, and I'd love to hear from you.